Bonjour et un grand merci au lycée français de New York pour nous avoir invités à donner ce discours virtuel. Hello, and many thanks to the Lycée Français de New York for having invited my colleague Barbara and I to share with you through this presentation how we've learned from our various experiences to build stronger connections with our students, both in online and hybrid courses.
I'd like to also thank the Lycée Français de New York, as well as all of you who are watching a recorded presentation on how to build stronger connections with your online or hybrid students. Often when we think about or begin to start teaching online, we don't realize how important that teacher-student connection is. And research and our own experiences have shown us that students have a much more satisfying and successful online language learning experience when we purposefully cultivate those teacher-student connections. Just a definition, when we say online learning, we are talking about either asynchronous, which is non-real-time learning and teaching, or synchronous, which is real-time learning and teaching using an internet-based delivery system. For hybrid, we're talking about any combination of face-to-face and online learning. So now let's begin our presentation.
By the end of this video, you should be able to identify where teacher presence is critical for building stronger teacher-student connections. Here, teacher presence describes how you, as the instructor, insert yourself throughout the course in order to establish some kind of relationship with students that will positively impact student learning. Next, you should be able to recognize instructional design strategies that minimize transactional distance in online environments. Transactional distance, a concept established by Michael Moore, describes the teacher-learner relationship that exists when learners and teachers are separated by space and/or time. Finally, you should be able to select instructional design strategies that make use of learning devices and platforms, teaching techniques, media, and course structure and features that minimize this divide between teachers and students. As you view this presentation, we ask that you consider the following questions as a guide to your understanding of when and how you can build stronger teacher-student connections in your online or hybrid courses. The content of this video is organized according to three frame factors: time, tools, and techniques. These serve to organize the instructional design strategies that Bobby and I have used in online environments. These are by no means comprehensive, but represent strategies we have used in our teaching. Time refers to the planning of the pre, during, and post-learning experiences for your students. It's a design process lens that helps focus when and where you can insert your presence in order to drive student learning forward. Tools refer to those tools that are available to you via your institution, learning management system, or external third party. Techniques refer to the applications of pedagogically driven strategies that leverage the affordances each platform and tool provides to minimize transactional distance and support student learning. Let's look at how time can help us foster stronger online connections with our learners. It's important to apply backward design principles to course development as well as student learning, starting with outcomes first. What should students know and be able to do? Assessments follow and help you determine acceptable evidence. How will your learners demonstrate their knowledge and abilities in an online or hybrid environment? Only then can you design meaningful learning experiences, the activities and tasks that will prepare students for success. Prior to the launch of your online or hybrid course, you should factor in time to create any number of items that will strengthen the connection between you and your students, such as instructor video introductions, module overviews, a video course layout tour, as well as the syllabus, grading information, and required materials. We cannot overestimate the power of video to impart who you are as an instructor and fellow human being. Make the time to create those instructor-student connections even before your course begins to build excitement and anticipation and to decrease transactional distance. As you can see, a pre-course orientation can be simple and targeted to your audience's needs and abilities. In the design portion of the course, we think about instructor time and student time. This is where we let our students know what they can expect and when they can expect to hear from us. We will grade assignments within this period of time. respond to emails in that amount of time. This is another example of teacher presence. This is not a generic document that institutions may provide on policies and procedures. This is a tailored, targeted communication to all students in the course and describes an explicit agreement between the instructor and each student. When designing a course, we should anticipate time requirements for students to work on modules and for us as instructors to facilitate the learning. We must build in flexibility to respond to unanticipated learner concerns and responses. We can do this by planning for ongoing student feedback. Often we see feedback on actions, such as using an end-of-course evaluation to make instructional changes that only benefits the next class. Here is an example of feedback in action, reacting during the course. Because we did learning checks throughout the course, we could collect just-in-time feedback to make a difference in student learning. Here, Bobby and I use student feedback to revise our instruction during a summer Star Talk course by combining 2 modules into one, offering students more time to work on content. Once you've taken the time to plan your course, you have to take stock of the tools that can accomplish your goals. Which learning management system and which third-party tools will you use to strengthen your connection with your online or hybrid students? There are some tools that are common to most learning management systems, for example, assignments, quizzes, and discussions. Along with quizzes and assignments, discussion forums are a built-in feature of most learning management systems. Clear expectations and carefully designed questions that require meaningful responses to move student learning forward are key. Effective use of these tools is especially important when we consider the research that the learning management system Blackboard shared, indicating the supermajority of instructors use Blackboard only to share documents and announcements. We'll have a link to that and other research in our handout. Consistent and appropriately paced self-assessments provide students needed feedback on their progress and are another way we can build stronger connections with our online learners. Using tools such as FaceTime, Zoom, or WhatsApp can address transactional distance not only between you and your learners, you can also employ these tools to create community and connections among your students. If no physical space has been assigned to your class, in other words, it is fully online, you can use a web conferencing platform to create live office hours or to deliver a short live session to go over a difficult to understand concept that can be recorded for those unable to attend. Oftentimes, the Q&A segment of such sessions benefit not only those learners present, but also those unable to attend live. You can also use web conferencing platforms for individual and group oral assessments. Flipgrid is now free for educators and is especially good at creating social presence, at building community within a course. And now Bobby will share with us specific techniques to using these tools in order to strengthen teacher-student connections in online and hybrid language learning environments.
Thanks, Barbara. Now we'd like to share with you various techniques that have been successful in building strong connections with our students. While videos like this one here are important to introduce the course or to introduce a course module, be wary of using exclusively professionally produced videos throughout your course. Instead, consider a mix of some professional videos with informal videos so that students can sense you are a human being. This technique supports the concept of humanizing your course. For each module of a course, consider also using a video or at least an audio introduction. Simply hearing your voice can also increase your connection with students. Following an introductory audio or video greeting, module overview pages are essential to maintain student focus. Here, as well as throughout your course, use language that speaks directly to the student. In other words, directions should be written in second person as opposed to third person. For example, you'll share your reflections on the word cloud. Instead of, the learner will share his or her reflections on the word cloud. Keep the language simple and clear so as not to confuse learners about what they are expected to do. Providing students with a brief look ahead lets them know that we value their time and effort spent on learning and that we want to give them the opportunity to stay on track. Throughout your course, we suggest making yourself available virtually to provide office hours as you would in a face-to-face course. Support forums for technical issues as well as general course questions further demonstrate your willingness to support learners, which in turn translates into stronger connections. Teaching demonstrations build connections when you create them. If all course videos feature another instructor, then students miss out on the opportunity to hear and see you. Further, creating your own demonstrations allows you to provide comprehensible input for your students, not for someone else's students. And finally, since the content is available in this format, students can view it as many times as needed. The use of badging, or micro-credentials, can build connections, especially for those badges that require close monitoring and interaction with students. The most direct technique for building connections with your students is through the regular use of feedback. One technique we suggest you consider throughout the course is the integration of microfeedback. For us, this means very short anonymous surveys that solicit information about student experience in the course. Microfeedback can be used in a variety of ways, one of which is to gauge the learning temperature of the course through questions that target students' experience and allow you to take immediate action to address current learning needs. You can use free tools like Google Forms if your learning management system does not already have a survey tool. The advantage of using Google Forms is in the ability to immediately access graphs of student responses, as seen here. When it comes to feedback offered on assignments, the use of a single-point rubric like this one are not only time savers during the grading process, but make it possible to provide customized feedback to highlight student areas for growth and areas of strength. After major assignments or at the end of a course module, consider providing global feedback in the form of a video, where the information you offer applies to all student work. While not as personalized as the individual single-point rubric, global feedback videos provide another layer of connectivity with your students.
Let's review what we've learned today about how, why, and when we should build stronger connections with our online or hybrid language learning students. To review, we explored the following key components to build and strengthen teacher-student connections and interactions in online and hybrid learning environments. We've shown how the concepts of time, tools, and techniques can offer a structured framework to manage components in online and hybrid courses designed to strengthen those teacher-student connections that move student learning forward. We've provided a session handout at the following link for you to explore the resources we've mentioned in this presentation. And finally, a few key takeaways for you to consider. 1. Pick one or two things you've seen today to strengthen your teacher-student presence that suit your unique teaching situation. Don't try to do all of them at once. 2. Don't underestimate the time required to plan, develop, and teach an online or hybrid course. 3. During planning, build in opportunities to connect with students individually and as a group. 4. Be flexible when needed to modify your instructional practices to address student needs. And finally, adopt a growth mindset approach. As is the case with face-to-face teaching, recognize that it takes numerous offerings of the same course to develop your skills and strategies for building connections with your students.
Wherever you are, we thank you for viewing our presentation and wish you a rewarding conference experience. And don't forget to check out those resources in the handout we've shared with you.
We hope this video served to deepen or expand your knowledge of the various ways in which you can build stronger connections with your online or hybrid students. We thank you for watching. Merci mille fois. Au revoir.